Unbelievable. Once again, Dave Roberts finds himself in the crosshairs of Dodgers fans, and honestly, it's hard to argue with him this time. Normally, I'm someone who will back him in countless situations, give him the benefit of the doubt, but this loss, it squarely falls on his shoulders. The game started in a way that had so much promise. Sheehan was absolutely lights out on the mound. 7 innings of brilliance, 10 strikeouts, barely a hit allowed, everything looking like it was shaping up for a solid victory. We were holding a 1-run lead, and even though the offense didn't exactly explode, only 7 hits in the entire game. You could feel like if the bullpen just held steady for a couple of innings, we had this in the bag. But that's where things began to unravel, and it's almost painful to watch. Blake Treinen came into the game in the 8th inning, tasked with maintaining that slim lead, and almost immediately, the situation spiraled. The stat line tells the story: a 1-7 record, an ERA sitting at 5.55. And at this point in the season, you have to wonder, is this his last shot? Is this the final chance to get things right? Because honestly, you can only rely on someone so many times before the margin for error disappears. And that's exactly what happened here. There are always those voices saying, no, you have to give him another opportunity. But the reality is the timing couldn't have been worse. Dave Roberts kept sending him out there. And in doing so, he turned what could have been a routine win into a frustrating defeat. If the decision had been different, if the team had gone with a different option in that moment, that victory would have been ours, the magic number would have shrunk, and the team's momentum heading into the final stretch would have been tangible. Instead, we're left staring at what could have been and thinking about how one managerial decision altered the course of the game. And it's not even a question of skill or past performance. Treinen has been incredible for the team before. His contributions during last year's championship run were monumental, and there's no denying the role he played in securing that World Series. But this year, things have changed. With new talent coming back from rehab, Roki Sasaki, Brock Stewart, and potentially Kyle Hurt, the roster dynamics are shifting and opportunities are becoming scarce. When you have guys like that returning, suddenly the margin for error for someone like Treinen gets thinner, and it becomes painfully clear that this might have been the last window for him to shine. Watching the 8th inning unfold was excruciating. Treinen was facing the 7th, 8th, and 9th hitters, and he gave up hits to all of them, continuing a troubling trend he's had all season. It doesn't matter if the batter hadn't had a hit in days or is a star. He's been inconsistent, and when the stakes are this high, inconsistency becomes a costly liability. In contrast, Bessie could have been brought in to navigate that situation with a much higher chance of success. And it's not just about preserving stats. It's about the team's positioning as we head into the final games of the regular season. With 6 games left and a magic number of 3 to secure a playoff spot, this is not the time to experiment with confidence-building exercises for a pitcher. Every decision counts, and yet the choice to give Treinen that inning ended up costing the team dearly. Beyond the pitching, the offense wasn't able to carry the load either. 7 hits over 9 innings is far from catastrophic, but it's not enough to secure a win, especially when key players are struggling. Ohtani managed only 1 hit and struck out twice. Betts went 0 for 4, and even some of the more consistent contributors barely made an impact. Freddie got 1 hit, Muni had a hit and a walk, and Conforto delivered the team's only RBI. When your number 1 run producer is responsible for the sole run batted in, it paints a clear picture. The offense wasn't firing on all cylinders, and every missed opportunity became magnified as the game progressed. Even bench contributions fell short. Edmund came in as a pinch hitter and failed to deliver, and Rushing, despite flashes of brilliance, didn't get the support he needed to make a difference. Meanwhile, questions about lineup decisions lingered. Why not bring in players who have been performing exceptionally well recently, like Ben Roth? The logic behind giving Dalton reps makes sense for development. But when the division race is on the line, shouldn't the focus be entirely on securing the win? It's moments like these that make fans scratch their heads and question the reasoning behind in-game decisions, especially when the outcome is so directly affected. The final lines of the game reflected a story of missed opportunities and managerial choices that didn't pan out. Sheehan pitched like a superstar, a true performance to remember, and yet the win slipped away because the bullpen couldn't hold. Treinen struggles, compounded by questionable decisions on who to deploy and when, left fans frustrated and questioning the approach. And now, as the team looks ahead to Arizona and Seattle, there's at least a silver lining. Brock Stewart is back, Roki Sasaki is returning, and possibly Kyle Hurd as well. These additions give Roberts some more reliable options for the bullpen, which has been a glaring issue this season. The team needs strong, dependable right-handed arms who can deliver under pressure, and having these guys back changes the strategic landscape significantly. It also signals that Treinen may no longer be a lock for the postseason roster, and decisions will need to be made quickly to ensure the team is optimally positioned for the playoff push. So here we are, at a critical juncture. The team has to navigate the final stretch with precision, relying on veterans who are performing and integrating returning players who can make a tangible impact. Every game counts, every inning matters, and every decision on the mound can tilt the balance between a division win and a disappointing finish. The spotlight is on Roberts, and rightfully so, because his choices directly influence the outcome of what should have been a manageable victory. Fans are reacting, discussions are heating up, and the pressure is immense. But beyond the frustration, the talent is there, the opportunities are still present, and if the Dodgers can capitalize on their strengths and make the right calls, the postseason is very much within reach. The narrative has shifted, and now the team must adapt and execute, leaving no room for further mistakes as they push toward the ultimate goal. As the Dodgers move forward, the tension is palpable. Every pitch, every at-bat, every substitution feels like it carries the weight of the entire season. Fans are scrutinizing every decision, replaying every inning in their minds, and asking the same questions. Why did this happen? Why didn't the player get the chance? Why did Roberts take that gamble at such a critical moment? And honestly, these questions are justified. The margin for error is razor thin, and when you're in a tight playoff race, every choice can be the difference between a triumphant celebration and another frustrating loss that leaves you second-guessing everything. It's not just about the scoreboard anymore. It's about momentum, confidence, and the psychological edge that can define the postseason. And right now, the Dodgers are walking a very thin line between staying in control and letting it slip away. Looking at the bigger picture, the offense has been inconsistent, but it's not entirely hopeless. Players like Betts, Ohtani, and Conforto have the talent to turn games around in a single swing. However, inconsistency has plagued them in the most critical moments. When your best hitters are struggling at the plate, every mistake or missed opportunity magnifies, and suddenly, 7 hits in a game, which might normally be enough, becomes insufficient. The team is trying to balance giving younger players experience with putting the most reliable lineup on the field. But at this stage of the season, the balance needs to tip heavily toward winning. Development has its place, but the division race and the magic number demand that every player in the lineup is there primarily to produce results, to put the team in the best position to secure victories. Meanwhile, the pitching situation is evolving rapidly. With Stewart, Sasaki, and Hurt coming back from rehab, the Dodgers will have more options and more reliability in the bullpen. This is crucial because the late innings have been the Achilles heel for the team this season. Treinen's struggles highlighted a larger issue. The bullpen has been unpredictable, and when the margin is 1 run, unpredictability is a recipe for disaster. Roberts now has the opportunity to reconfigure the roster, deploy pitchers in high-leverage situations with confidence, and finally stabilize the late innings. But with opportunity comes pressure. Whoever is chosen to step up must deliver immediately because there will be no more room for error. The postseason doesn't forgive mistakes, and the Dodgers can't afford another inning like what unfolded with Treinen. Every inning must be approached with precision, strategy, and execution because each one is a chance to either build momentum or create doubt. The team's mindset also comes into play. Players feed off confidence, energy, and the belief that the game plan is solid. When decisions backfire, it affects morale, and confidence can erode quickly. That's why Roberts' choices are being scrutinized so heavily. not just for the technical execution, but for how they impact the team's mental state. Baseball is as much mental as it is physical, and in this final stretch, the Dodgers need every advantage they can get. When the bullpen wavers, when hitters are inconsistent, when decisions are questioned, the mental pressure intensifies. Players are forced to compensate, to push harder, and sometimes fatigue or frustration leads to mistakes. That's why it's not just about who is on the mound or who is at the plate. It's about creating an environment where every player can perform at their peak when it matters most. Looking ahead, the upcoming games against Arizona and Seattle will be pivotal. These matchups represent an opportunity to reset, to reinforce confidence, and to reassert control over the playoff picture. With Stewart and Sasaki returning, Roberts can deploy more strategic bullpen sequences, protect starters, and manage high-pressure situations more effectively. Every game becomes a calculated step toward securing the division and ensuring that the team enters the postseason with momentum, confidence, and a roster capable of competing at the highest level. The magic number of 3 is within reach, but only if the Dodgers execute flawlessly, capitalize on opportunities, and avoid repeating past mistakes. The stakes are higher than ever, and the margin for error is slimmer than it has been all season. The returning players are key to this strategy. Stewart brings stability and experience to the bullpen. Sasaki adds a reliable arm that can handle critical innings, and Hurt provides versatility and depth. Integrating these players effectively could transform the late-game dynamics that have been a source of frustration. The team now has the tools to correct course, but only if Roberts and the coaching staff make precise, decisive choices. Every inning, every batter, every pitch is an opportunity to build momentum, to push toward the division, and to secure a strong position for the postseason. The narrative has shifted. The Dodgers are no longer solely reacting. They now have the chance to proactively shape their path to success. Of course, the players themselves carry responsibility. The hitters must find consistency, the bullpen must stabilize, and the entire roster must execute under pressure. But the managerial decisions set the framework. Roberts' next calls will either reinforce confidence or amplify existing frustrations. The spotlight is on him, and with good reason. Every decision now is magnified, scrutinized, and potentially decisive. Fans are watching, analysts are dissecting every move, and the team itself is feeling the weight of expectations. The Dodgers' path to the postseason is within reach, but only if preparation, strategy, and execution align perfectly in these final games. It's a critical moment in the season where talent, strategy, and mental toughness converge. The Dodgers have the roster, they have the returning players, and they have the opportunity to take control. But the pressure is immense, and every choice matters. Roberts' decisions, the bullpen's performance, the offense's consistency, all of these elements are intertwined, and success depends on flawless execution across the board. This is the kind of stretch that defines a season, separates contenders from pretenders, and sets the tone for what comes next. The Dodgers have the chance to turn frustration into momentum, to transform last night's loss into a lesson, and to enter the postseason with confidence, precision, and the firepower to compete at the highest level. Every inning counts. Every game is a chance to prove the team's resilience, and the narrative is far from over. The next few days will be telling, and the decisions made now will echo throughout the postseason. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. In an astonishing twist that has sent shockwaves through the baseball world, whispers are circulating that CODY Bellinger, the former MVP and fan favorite, may be making a stunning return to the Los Angeles Dodgers under what insiders are calling a surprise contract. The news, still unconfirmed officially, has ignited a frenzy among Dodgers fans, analysts, and the wider MLB community, with speculation running wild about the terms, the timing, and the impact this move could have on the already stacked Dodgers roster. Sources close to the team suggest that the discussions began quietly behind closed doors earlier this week, with Dodgers executives reportedly eager to explore every angle to bring Bellinger back to Chavez Ravine. The star outfielder, who has battled inconsistency and injuries in recent seasons, is rumored to have expressed interest in returning to the team where he first made his name, rekindling the romance that once saw him dominate in the outfield and light up the scoreboard. Some speculate the deal could involve a short-term contract, possibly with performance incentives, designed to allow both sides flexibility while reigniting the fan favorite's career in Los Angeles. The timing could not be more tantalizing. With the Dodgers gearing up for another intense season and looking to cement their dominance in the NL West, adding Bellinger, even on a surprise or modest contract, could inject a much-needed spark into the lineup. Pundits are already theorizing how manager Dave Roberts might shuffle positions, what this means for the current outfield rotation, and whether Bellinger could reclaim the superstar form that made him one of the most electrifying players in baseball just a few years ago. Of course, with rumors flying and the MLB grapevine in overdrive, nothing is set in stone. Fans, however, are already taking to social media in droves, sharing hopes, memes, and hot takes about what could be the most exciting mid-season development in recent Dodgers history. One thing seems certain. If this deal goes through, Cody Bellinger's return won't just be a headline. It will be the talk of baseball for weeks, if not months. Dodgers Nation is holding its collective breath, waiting for the official word that could turn a whisper into one of the loudest comebacks in recent memory. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.